Good afternoon, everyone. Let me first welcome Secretary CROWFOOT. In Pasadena, we know another CROWFOOT, Bill CROWFOOT, who's a former member of the City Council. And let me just say, his demeanor's a little different than yours. But he's a great friend and a very smart guy. I'd also like to welcome the California Natural Resources Agency and the staff of the California Resources Agency. Thank you for all of your hard work. And of course, our partners at MET and all of the staff from MET who work every day to ensure that cities like Pasadena are doing the right thing. I'm very proud of the fact that the city of Pasadena was one of the 5 founders of the Metropolitan Water District. And as we all know, MET has played such an important role not only for the city of Pasadena, for LA County, but really in the evolution of the entire state of California, certainly Southern California. And so I'm very proud of the fact that Pasadena had a very important role in ensuring that MET was founded and did all of the great work that it's done over generations. I'd also like to welcome Jeff KIGHTLINGER, our interim and acting Water and Power Director. Jeff is part of a great staff here in the city of Pasadena that, again, works hard every day to ensure that Pasadena is doing the right thing as it pertains to water, power, and sustainability. And of course, our city manager, Cynthia KURTZ, who's also a member of the MET board and Pasadena's representative to the MET board. Cynthia, welcome and thank you for your work. And my friend and colleague, TYRON HAMPTON, whose district we are in, and actually his neighborhood. He lives just around the corner from here and could probably skip a rock on the reservoir if he needed to from his front yard. I'm proud of Pasadena's record of being at the forefront of conservation, particularly now when we're in the middle of a drought, the driest of which we've seen in the last 3 years. And Pasadena has done its part, but we're certainly not an island, and we're part of the state's effort. Secretary, thank you for leading that effort on behalf of not just the City Council and the city staff, but on behalf of all residents of Pasadena and California. You've done a terrific job, and we appreciate your visit to Pasadena, and certainly the partnership that we have with your office and the state of California and our partners at MET is something that we're very proud of, and we hope to model for other communities, and certainly count on us to be of assistance to you in any way that we can. As you all know, Pasadena's conservation efforts have resulted in a 9% water reduction year over year. And that's a tremendous, we owe a tremendous applause to the people of Pasadena who have heard the message related to the importance of sustainability and protecting our water resources. And we should all be very proud as residents of Pasadena to have accomplished that. But over the last 3 years, we've conserved 15% of water in Pasadena, reduced usage of water by 15%. And that's an important number as well, because we've also at the same time seen a growth in population of Pasadena of approximately 5%. And we are very proud of the fact that even as we grow as a city, we're doing our part to ensure that we protect water as an important asset. So, Mr. Secretary, again, on behalf of the residents of Pasadena, the staff of Pasadena, thank you for visiting us today. Thank you for this important partnership. And we look forward to doing more work with your office and certainly with our partners at MET. This is the way to work in Pasadena and in California, in partnership. And that's what today's event really marks, is an important partnership as we look to do the right thing for the right reasons and sustain our environment and protect our precious resource of water. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'll introduce I still call him our Vice Mayor, TYRON HAMPTON, my friend and council member here in District 1.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all of the residents of Pasadena who have constantly, every year, worked on conserving more, conserving more. It is important. We're living in a more drier climate now, and I don't see that changing at any time in the near future. But as our city continues to grow, it is important that we continue to conserve water, as the mayor mentioned. I'll just tell you a little brief story about this project here. This project is near and dear to all of the neighbors that live here. I live, as the mayor mentioned, right up the street. I could skip a rock across our reservoir, but I won't do that because I don't want to contaminate our water. I had a cup before I came here. Thank you, Met. It was good. And this came out of a neighborhood beautification. This was overgrown. Some of the sprinkler heads were busted. Water was spraying on the street, and the city at the same time would tell people, we need to do a better job at conserving. Our water and power department said, you know what, we need to look at our own properties. So they worked with the neighbors. They worked with organizations like OBA, which is Charles Thomas is in the back. I see him. He's brought his young people with him. And as you see those young people there, this shows that this is not just a new neighborhood beautification, but this is an education piece for our next generation, because our next generation also needs to know about the importance of conserving water. At my own personal home, because of this project, I actually did some things, removed a little bit of the turf at my house. Didn't remove all of it, but I removed some of it. And I did remove some of the turf that was not, I would say, water conscious, and I put a grass down that was a little more water conscious. And I installed some native plants. And with that native plants, I've received monarch butterflies, tons of squirrels, lizards up the yin-yang. I don't even know where the snakes are. I'm like, where's the predators? You know what I'm saying? Got so many snakes, so many lizards, it's crazy. But it's been amazing what it has done. And not only just that, but I'm a father of a young daughter who's 7, and I just recently had my second daughter who's 5 days old. And thank you. They clapping because I'm here. They're like, how is he doing it? It gives me an opportunity to go outside with my daughter and our community and talk about the monarch butterflies and the native ecosystem that we are also maintaining and growing again. So I just want to thank Metropolitan Water, the Water and Power Department, the City of Pasadena, and all of the residents. Neighbor here, Marie Levine, one of the residents that was really instrumental in making sure that this beautification project happened, is standing right here with us as well. I see you. And I just wanted to recognize that. With love and gratitude, thank you to the City of Pasadena, thank you to Metropolitan Water Power, and to the California Natural Resources Secretary, Wade CROWFOOT. We're very grateful. I know that you're going to be bringing some more money so that we can get some more turf removed. So I actually may remove some more of my turf now. Thank you, and I'm going to bring up our Secretary, Wade CROWFOOT.
Well, Mayor and Council member, it's a pleasure to be here. I started my life as a Midwesterner, so my first images of Southern California were on New Year's Day, when as a Big Ten football fan, I would tune into the Rose Bowl and see Pasadena just looking incredible, while the town I grew up in was under snow and freezing in temperatures. And pretty remarkable that fast forward, 40 or 50 years, we'll now be joined in an athletic conference, which is a whole nother story. But listen, we're here because residents of Greater Los Angeles and Southern Californians are on the front lines of worsening drought. 3 years of our current drought, the last 8 out of our last 10 years have been dry years. This is a drought that's not only impacting California, but is spreading across the West. River systems that we depend on across the American West, whether it's the Colorado River, the Sacramento River system, the San Joaquin River system, impacted almost like never before by drought. We know drought is part of the natural cycle here in California, much like flood is. But we also know that climate change is driving more punishing, more severe droughts. Hotter winter temperatures mean we have less snowpack, which forms the base, the sort of the foundation of our water supply. More of our winter precipitation is falling as rain and not snow. And then warming temperatures in the spring and summer mean more of that snowpack absorb into very dry soils or evaporate into warm air. So we're challenged remarkably by this worsening drought. Now here's the good news. Leaders in Pasadena, in Los Angeles, in the region have made some pretty remarkable investments over the last couple of decades to build Southern California's drought resilience, which means you have more regional storage that's captured water supplies during wet years for use during droughts. You have more water recycling, more stormwater capture, which is all helpful. But make no mistake, climate change is on the march, meaning as we continue to invest to build our drought resilience and continue to prosper as Californians, we have to contend with this current worsening drought. Now, the good news is our state leaders, the governor and the legislature, over the last 2 years, including a budget that just passed several days ago, have invested over $8 billion to support regional agencies like Metropolitan, local water agencies like Pasadena Water and Power and LADWP to continue to make those investments to diversify our water supplies and be able to weather these droughts. But here's the bad news. We don't know when this drought will end, and it's getting worse by the month and worse by the year. So we are here explaining that actions that each of us can take in our homes, in our businesses, in our daily lives is invaluable in helping us stretch water supplies because we don't know when this drought will end. And there's 6 million residents in greater Los Angeles that live in water agencies because they rely on a single source of water are in real danger of potentially running out of water, as the regional water agency has explained, in coming months and years. Pasadena and Pasadena Water and Power are not necessarily in that situation, but I think all communities in Southern California realize that action taken now to conserve water is drought safety in coming years if this drought persists. Now, I'm also here to thank you as residents of Pasadena, as local leaders of Pasadena, for leading the way. We know that about 60% of our water use in our cities and towns is spent outdoors. We also know there's a lot of water waste. Irrigation systems that overwater yards, frankly, lawns that the only time someone walks on the lawn is to mow those lawns. So thanks to the foresight of our local leaders, we're supporting programs to remove that ornamental grass or ornamental turf that's very water thirsty and frankly very maintenance intensive, and replace that with abundant natural native water-wise plants. We can have beautiful yards in California and use less water. And residents of Pasadena, residents of LA are showing how that gets done. I'm really excited that there has been an uptick in applications for these turf removal programs across Los Angeles. Angelenos and Southern Californians get it and led the way during the last drought, conserving water. And so we're here asking you all to step up once again. If you're a resident, consider changing out that lawn in the front or backyard that you don't use. Consider checking your irrigation system to ensure that it's as efficient as it can be, eliminating that water waste, finding opportunities to change out outdated appliances for more water efficient appliances. Each of us can play a role. And drought action is climate change action. And your efforts, the improvements that you make will stretch water supplies moving forward. Now, I'm really excited to announce that we do have, I should say water on the way, but I actually mean money on the way. I wish we had water on the way. But actually, that money will turn into water, and this is what I mean. The governor and the legislature just days ago appropriated $75 million to boost programs like those in Pasadena and Los Angeles, to subsidize these turf removal programs that you all have established here. And our goal is to ensure that the state is funding more of these renovation projects, which means more water saved in our reservoirs as the drought persists. So it's both a thank you for the work that you have done, the leadership that you've demonstrated, and a request to continue to stay at it, to share this message with more communities, more neighbors, to expand our water conservation. And in that work, we have a tremendous partner in Pasadena Water and Power and the city of Pasadena. I'm excited to be able to introduce my former colleague who led our Metropolitan Water Agency for so many years and is now serving as our interim and acting general manager of the Pasadena Water and Power Agency, Jeff KIGHTLINGER.
Pasadena has been a real early adopter. Metropolitan did a transformational landscape turf replacement program, spending $450 million in a 2-year span on turf replacement. And Pasadena took over $1 million of those grants and started really heavily investing in turf replacement. Since then, we've done over 500 turf replacement programs in the last 6 years. Over 1 million square feet of turf removed in Pasadena, and they've really pursued that program. Right here at our Sheldon Reservoir site, we had scraggly, mostly half-dead crabgrass here 6 years ago, and we took advantage of Pasadena's Metropolitan's money with Pasadena's money and put this together, and we worked very closely with the community in putting together this native landscaping, which really does conserve water. I'm also really proud of how Pasadena did it. Pasadena did this by teaming up the labor workforce that did the work to transform this landscape. We're 2 groups in Pasadena: Outward Bound Adventures, a local community-based nonprofit group that really specializes in providing job training and work opportunities for young disadvantaged youth, as well as our own internal city apprentice program, MASH program, which gives 2-year apprenticeships to also young students and allows them to learn life skills and skills as well. And with that, we not only kind of transformed and saved water, but we also help our community as well. So very proud of the way Pasadena has put together these programs. I note right across the street, we have one of our native landscaping projects here, and you've seen the city go throughout. The last 3 years, Pasadena has averaged over 50 projects a year, homeowners getting those grants, over $200,000 a year spent on turf replacement over the last 3 years, and it is now a steady program within Pasadena. So thank you, Metropolitan, thank you, Secretary of Resources, and Pasadena is going to continue to do its part. I want to now bring up our interim city manager, CYNTHIA KURTZ, also the representative for Pasadena on the Metropolitan Board. CYNTHIA.
It's really an honor to be here today. And while I am the interim city manager, and I'm always thrilled when Pasadena's leadership and stewardship in environmental issues get recognized, I'm more here representing Gloria Gray, the chairman of the Metropolitan Board, as one of her vice chairs, to welcome you, Secretary CROWFOOT, to Pasadena and to the Met region, and to talk a little bit about what Metropolitan is doing. You know, we really pride ourselves at Met that when you turn on the faucet, the water you need to sustain your life is there, good, high-quality water. But we also recognize things have to change. Climate change is moving way too quickly for us to continue to do business as we have. And everyone has to be a part of that. There can be big things and little things. Turn off the faucet when you're not using the water. Small changes make a great deal of difference, but there's no way to really cut back on the water use without looking at our outside water use. 85% of the water we use has to do with our California lawns, our California desire to have green spaces, and what we grew up believing were beautiful spaces, but we've learned now that there can be beautiful spaces that are not taking all of that water. Metropolitan has been a leader. Jeff mentioned a few years ago, we dedicated $450 million to turf removal. And at the time, there were some comments and questions as to whether or not this was good public policy. We were taking ratepayers' money to do this. Was this the thing that Metropolitan ought to be doing? And what we have found is for every 100 homes that took a Met incentive and took their turf out in that neighborhood, 132 additional homes did it without the incentive. Now that is good public policy. That is showing that we are driving the policy of looking at the way we use outside water differently, and that people are excited about having homes that look like they're in California. And so we're excited about that. But there is more to do. Everyone needs to, as the secretary said, everyone needs to do something, even if it's only fixing a leak or a dripping faucet. It all helps. It all adds up to being less water for each and every one of us, knowing that each and every one of us will continue to have the water that we actually need. People are seeing these changes in their communities. They're appreciating the true beauty of California native plants. And with every drop saved, we're doing great things for our environment. Thank you very much for being here, for coming to Pasadena, to coming to the Metropolitan region. We appreciate your leadership at the state. And I want to pledge that Metropolitan wants to be your partner, whatever we can do to help the state, the whole state, not just our region. Metropolitan's ready to do that. And with that, I would like to bring up a representative from Metropolitan Resource Specialist, Cristina Garcia, and she's going to talk more about the MET programs. Thank you.
I'm excited to represent Metropolitan and discuss some of the actions that people can take as part of this unprecedented drought. We know that we are in a period where we need everybody's help, and the best help that we can get is reducing water use outdoors, right? Up to 80% of the water used in a typical household is used outdoors, often for landscape or turf that isn't really used at all other than for mowing, as Councilman Hampton said. And so what we are looking for is to reduce that amount of water usage, and Metropolitan is here to help with that. We have our turf replacement program, which provides to $2 per square foot to remove unused turf at your home and replace it with California-friendly and drought-tolerant plantings. And as part of that program, we also have additions like the stormwater feature, which allows us to retain irrigation and rainwater on site to use even less water, while at the same time providing cooling benefits and habitat for birds, butterflies, bees, all the wonderful animals we have around here. What we end up doing is creating these sustainable, water efficient, and beautiful landscapes. And as Director KURTZ mentioned, that multiplier effect, we're creating beautiful neighborhoods, not just a single home. And that's what we love to see. And we're asking our residents and our commercial businesses to continue that work.